Welcome to the Thea Lee podcast. Today is January 4th, 2026, and we are on day 4 of our Bible reading. Today we pick up with the story of the Tower of Babel. Yesterday we went through the story of Noah, and we left off with this idea, this understanding that now all the nations of the earth are descended from Noah's 3 sons. Now we are 4 generations after the flood, and the people have migrated further east to a land called Babylonia. They figured out how to make bricks and harden them with fire, so their technology has increased. Now they can build with brick and they don't have to use stone anymore. They wanted to build a great city and a tower that reaches to the sky, or a tower that reaches to heaven. Their reasoning to do this was they wanted to be famous and to keep them all united. So God comes down and visits the city and sees this tower, and he realizes that the people are united and they were all speaking the same language. At that time, everyone on earth spoke the same language. And he said, nothing they set out to do will be impossible for them after this. So he intervenes and he confuses the people with different languages so that they could not understand each other. And that scattered them all over the world, and they stopped building that city. Again, I'm surprised it only took 4 generations after Noah for the human condition to kind of kick in again, and for people to seek after their own ways. Then the story goes 5 generations further than that, and we meet Abram. So Abram is from Noah's son Shem, from that bloodline, and Abram is then the next person we hear about that's in communication with God, that's in relationship directly with God. And it tells about, it starts out with Abram's father Terah. And so Abram had 2 brothers, Nahor and Haran. Haran had a son named Lot, and then Haran died. So it sounds like Abram kind of took Lot under his wing. Abram then married Sarai. And God comes and speaks to Abram and tells him to leave his country and his relatives and go to the land that he brings him to. And he blesses him. He tells Abram that he will make him into a great nation, that he will bless him and make him famous, and that he will be a blessing to others. I will bless those that bless you, and then God says he will curse those that treat you with contempt, but that all of the families of the earth will be blessed through him. So Abram does what he asks. He takes his wife Sarai and his nephew Lot and all of his wealth and his livestock and all the people that were with him, and they go and head for the land of Canaan. The Lord appears to him and says, I will give this land to your descendants. And so he builds an altar there, and he worships God, and then he sets out and goes south further, and he ends up between Bethel and Ai. And then something happens, a famine strikes. So they're forced to leave Canaan and go to Egypt. When they get to Egypt, Abram is really worried because his wife Sarai must be really beautiful, and he is afraid that when the Pharaoh finds out about her beauty that he will kill Abram to take Sarai. So he convinces her to say that they are siblings. And of course, Sarai ends up in the Pharaoh's household. And he gives Abram all of these gifts: sheep, goats, cattle, donkeys, male and female servants, and camels. But the Lord intervenes here, and he sends plagues upon the Pharaoh's household because of this. So then the Pharaoh calls Abram back in and asks, what have you done to me? Why did you tell me she was your sister? And he says, here, take her and go. So God does protect them, even though they didn't handle that well. So then they go back, they end up back where they were before, between Bethel and Ai, and now there becomes an issue because Lot and Abram are both very, very wealthy. They have a lot of animals, a lot of people in their households, and there's just not enough resources in the land to sustain both of them. So Abram gives Lot the choice. You can take the land to the left or the land to the right. So Lot, of course, looking at the Jordan Valley, where there's water everywhere and it's very plush and beautiful land, he chooses that, and he ends up settling by Sodom. And then Abram goes the other direction. After Lot had gone, the Lord speaks to Abram again and tells him, look in every direction as far as you can see. I'm giving you all this land to you and to your descendants as a permanent possession. And I will give you so many descendants that you will not be able to count them. They will be like the dust of the earth. So go, walk through all the land. I'm giving it to you. So Abram moves his camp to the oak grove by Hebron. And about this time, there's great unrest in the lands. There's all of these kingdoms that are fighting against each other. Two of those kingdoms are Sodom and Gomorrah. And so it's like 4 kings fighting against 5 kings. And this kind of goes on for a few years until Sodom and Gomorrah's group is defeated. And when they're defeated, of course, the victors go through the land of Sodom and Gomorrah on their way home, and they plunder and pillage and take everything as their reward. Lot and his household are taken as plunder. So Abram hears about this, that Lot has been taken, and he gets together 318 trained men from his household. So this gives you an idea of how rich Abram is and how many people he's got working for him, or slaves or whatever. He has 318 trained warriors in his home. So they set off in pursuit to go bring back Lot. They come up on one of the armies, and he divides his men and sends them in to attack at night, which makes that army flee. And so they pursue them, and they end up getting all of the captives and people and Lot and things back. So then they come home, and when they get back to Sodom, the king of Sodom comes out to meet him, and also Melchizedek. Melchizedek is the king of Salem, and he is a priest of the Most High God. So Melchizedek brings Abram bread and wine, and then he blesses him with this blessing. Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth. And blessed be God Most High, who has defeated your enemies for you. So then Abram gave Melchizedek 1/10 of all the goods that he had had. The king of Sodom then comes to Abram and says, give me back my people who were captured, but you can keep for everything else that you've recovered. But Abram replies to the king of Sodom that he swears by the Lord God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, that he's not going to take a single thread or a sandal thong from what belongs to him. Otherwise, the king of Sodom could say that he was the one who made Abram rich. So he said he would only accept what his young warriors have already eaten, but he requested that the king of Sodom give the fair share of his goods to his allies who own the land that he lives on. So my takeaway from today, again, is this idea that the human condition is so stark, and that it doesn't take very long for humankind to kind of go down their own paths and forget about the Lord. But then the Lord is weaving this beautiful thread through these stories about what relationship with him does with us. We have Noah, and we can see that his relationship with God blessed him and protected him. And now we have Abram, who the same is true. His relationship with God has blessed him and protected him. Even when he did things that weren't good, like lying about Sarai being his sister, God still protected him. And that's amazing. I hope you all had a blessed day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.